when famine hits, there will be all kinds of civil disorder, and everything goes to pot. And if you can throw on top of that power failure, widespread blackout, maybe an invented EMP attack, so that everything goes out at once. And we've been told, well, those dirty Iranians, look what they did. But actually it was somebody here throwing a switch or agreeing to throw several switches at once. Things like that can be done. I mean, you may laugh or scoff at them or say that they would never do that. Of course they would. It'd be something very dramatic, I can tell you that. And it'll probably be convincing.
Welcome to today's episode of Decentralized TV here at brightvideos.com. I'm Mike Adams, and I'm going to be joined shortly by my co-host, Todd Pittner. We've got a great guest coming up for you today, G. Edward Griffin, the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, and so much more. We're going to get into that in a lot of detail, but Todd and I decided to just skip the normal intros and jump right into the interview because of our amazing guest. So, all right, well, that's enough screwing around, Todd. With the let's bring in our guest, because he's someone that I think everybody in our audience is aware of his work, because he's a legendary person who has had such a dramatic and positive influence on humanity for so many years. Is G. Edward Griffin. Thank you so much, Ed, for joining us today, sir. It's an honor to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thank you very much.
It's the honor is all ours. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time. And do you remember years ago when I filmed with you at your home out in California for one of the little documentaries that you were doing at the time?
I do remember that very well. Yes.
There's a funny story about that, is that I had accidentally cut my hair way too short. And because I went in to get my hair cut, and I thought I told them to do a number 5. And they did a number 3, and I ended up almost like a hybrid skinhead haircut, and I had to fly out to visit you the next day.
Well, it looked, as I recall, there was no problem. Everybody was wearing their hair short like that.
Yeah, it was pretty short, but you were very gracious then, and thank you for everything that you've done in all the years since then. So, Todd, have you had the chance to interview Ed before?
I have never had the chance to interview Ed, but I'm a huge fanboy. And yeah, I feel like I have to call you Mr. G because just the reverence of it. But you know, The Creature from Jekyll Island really changed my life. I mean, it educated me and woke me up. That is, I think, the defining moment or moments reading through that book, to where I'm like, you got to be kidding me, you know?
Right.
And to that end, what really impacted me was your introduction to the book. And what I did, I hope you don't mind, Mr. G, is I created an audio version for our audience to be able to listen and watch. We have some visuals included in it, just so they will have some context for after the video. I'm going to ask you a series of questions to relate the intro, which was written back in, well, it wasn't written back in 1957, but this conversation was. So I'll explain that. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, just kind of bringing it forward to 2026. But what I did not include in the video, and you did in the introduction, is this. The following exchange was published in the British humor magazine Punch on April 3rd, 1957. It is presented here as an appropriate introduction and as a mental exercise to limber the mind for the material contained in The Creature from Jekyll Island. And with that, Mike, if you wouldn't mind, let's play the video.
Okay, let's roll it.
Question. What are banks for? Answer. To make money. For the customers? For the banks. Why doesn't bank advertising mention this? It would not be in good taste. But it is mentioned by implication in references to reserves of $249 million or thereabouts. That is the money that they have made. Out of the customers? I suppose so. They also mention assets of $500 million or thereabouts. Have they made that too? Not exactly. That is the money they use to make money. I see. And they keep it in a safe somewhere? Not at all. They lend it to customers. Then they haven't got it? No. Then how is it assets? They maintain that it would be if they got it back. But they must have some money in a safe somewhere? Yes, usually $500 million or thereabouts. This is called liabilities. But if they've got it, how can they be liable for it? Because it isn't theirs. Then why do they have it? It has been lent to them by customers. You mean customers lend banks money? In effect. They put money into their accounts, so it is really lent to the banks. And what do the banks do with it? Lend it to other customers. But you said that money they lent to other people was assets? Yes. Then assets and liabilities must be the same thing? You can't really say that. But you've just said it. If I put $100 into my account, the bank is liable to have to pay it back, so it's liabilities. But they go and lend it to someone else, and he is liable to have to pay it back, so it's assets. It's the same $100, isn't it? Yes, but then it cancels out. It means, doesn't it, that banks haven't really any money at all? Theoretically. Never mind theoretically, and if they haven't any money, where do they get their reserves of $249 million or thereabouts? I told you, that is the money they have made. How? Well, when they lend your $100 to someone, they charge him interest. How much? It depends on the bank rate. Say 5.5%. That's their profit. Why isn't it my profit? Isn't it my money? It's the theory of banking practice that when I lend them my $100, why don't I charge them interest? You do. You don't say. How much? It depends on the bank rate. Say 0.5%. Grasping of me, rather? But that's only if you're not going to draw the money out again. But of course I'm going to draw it out again. If I hadn't wanted to draw it out again, I could have buried it in the garden, couldn't I? They wouldn't like you to draw it out again. Why not? If I keep it there, you say it's a liability. Wouldn't they be glad if I reduced their liabilities by removing it? No, because if you remove it, they can't lend it to anyone else. But if I wanted to remove it, they'd have to let me. Certainly. But suppose they've already lent it to another customer. Then they'll let you have someone else's money. But suppose he wants his too, and they've let me have it. You're being purposely obtuse. I think I'm being acute. What if everyone wanted their money at once? It's the theory of banking practice that they never would. So what banks bank on is not having to meet their commitments? I wouldn't say that. Naturally. Well, if there's nothing else you think you can tell me, quite so. Now you can go off and open a banking account. Just one last question? Of course. Wouldn't I do better to go off and open up a bank?
All right. There we go, Todd.
Yeah. So, Ed, what an amazing intro to your book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. You are indeed a legend, sir. I've read your book years ago, and over the past several days, I've binge listened to it again on Audible. And your intro, it's just so thought-provoking. And since the Punch magazine article was actually published in 1957, if you don't mind, let's fast forward to 2026. And I'd like to ask you 8 rapid-fire questions with yes or no answers.
What? Pop quiz for Ed?
Yeah.
Yes or no? No,
Okay.
no maybes?
Right. Yes or no, maybe. What?
Ed, did you know you signed up for this?
No, I didn't know this.
You did
What's my
not.
punishment?
Nobody
If I
knew.
don't answer correctly, what happens?
All right. 1, banks exist to make money for themselves, not customers. Still true today?
Very true.
Depositors are effectively lending money to banks. Fair statement?
Fair.
Banks don't actually have the money they lend. True in modern banking?
Yes.
The same dollar can exist as both an asset and as a liability. Still how the system works?
Yes.
Banking depends on most people not withdrawing their money?
Yes.
If everyone withdrew funds at once, the banking system would collapse.
Well, it depends on how you define the word. Oh, that's not a yes or no, is it? But if you say withdraw, there's a lot of money in circulation that can't be withdrawn directly. It has to go back into the banks and then canceled out. But in the context in which the question is asked, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I'm talking about a bank run.
Yeah.
Interest is created from money that did not previously exist.
Yes, and there's another, but I have to add an addendum. There's
Great.
another path. There's another pathway, which I mentioned in my book, which is through labor. People can work their way to earn the money that was never, earn their own money back, in other words, by labor, and they can create, they're literally creating money to pay off the interest.
Through labor. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
through labor. Mhm.
All right, 8. The average person fundamentally misunderstands how banking works.
Yes.
Okay,
That's for sure.
and as a bonus question for all of our DTV audience, it's wise to keep your wealth in the banking system.
How's that for an answer?
Yeah, we're all dying laughing just from the question.
Well, based on your intro, that brilliant intro and that dialogue, what was the biggest takeaway you wanted readers to walk away with, Mr. G? When you wrote that?
Well, I have to rewind my memory way back.
Yeah.
And I think my intent was not so profound. I thought it was humorous, first of all.
It was.
But it was amazingly accurate. And I thought how clever the author of that, whoever that wrote that piece, was in order to get a story, a very unpleasant story, told in a humorous way. And I thought maybe if I could get people laughing and relaxing, they were ready for the truth. You know, I was trying to soften them up a little bit.
It was brilliant. And I hope everybody that listened to that now goes and buys The Creature from Jekyll Island and reads the whole thing, or as I did with Audible, listen to the whole thing. It's just amazing. I mean, it's mind-boggling and bending at the same time. You were so far ahead of the game.
Well, thank you for that. I was ahead of the game, but you know, I was just learning what the game was at the time. And I'm still learning, by the way.
So Ed, let me give out your website. realityzone.com is where people can follow your work. This is just one of your many sites. I want to give this one out, realityzone.com. And then also you organize the Red Pill Expo, redpillexpo.org. And we'll talk about that later. You have an event coming up later this year, I believe, in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
So Ed, what I want to start out with, my question-wise, is that when you first wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island and published it, what year was that, by the way?
Well, let's see. I think it was you have to look at the book. It's so long ago. It was 1964 or something.
Wow.
69, something like that. 69.
So even in the
maybe.
1990s, many of the subjects that the book covers were considered out there, you know, fringe, whatever. But that has changed dramatically to where today your concepts are considered mainstream conversation. People don't trust the Fed. People understand that money is created as debt. People understand the value of gold and silver and so on. Do you feel vindicated somewhat over all these years to see how your ideas have become so widely understood?
I have to say yes, although I don't think about it being that way. I'm relieved because, frankly, when I first released that book, I was convinced that I had written my own death warrant. And I don't mean hardcore assassination, but assassination of reputation. Because I was sure, first of all, I was the last person, and still am, the last person in the world to write a book on banking and money. I mean, that's not my background. I start with a complete white slate. And I knew I'm the last person to write it. I thought I had made so many mistakes that once the book was out there, I would be crucified publicly, and everybody would laugh, and and point at my demise and say he deserved it, the idiot. But it never happened. I didn't expect to get off so easy. I had, frankly, in all these years, I've had one, what I consider to be a legitimate error pointed out in my book. And that is that I had misnamed Tsar Nicholas the Third when it should have been the Fourth or something like that.
Wow.
And it was a footnote. And I was waiting for the hammer to come, but it never came. So I just assumed I squeaked by somehow.
Wow.
Wow. Are you
how
also?
How long did it take you to write it? I'm curious.
That's a hard question. I was on the project for about 7 years.
Okay.
But I was doing other things also at the time to put bread on the table. So I would say if you just take the time for the book itself, it would be about a 3 or 4 year project.
Amazing.
Well, what's interesting, you mentioned the year that you published it. The U.S. dollar was still tied to a gold standard at the time that you wrote the book. That didn't change until after you published it, correct?
Well, that's a stunning question. My impression, I'd have to look at the numbers. They got off the gold standard in 71, right?
Right.
All right. So the book was on the market before then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I have to look at my
I think
own.
that's what you're, I mean, I could look it up too, but
Yeah, please.
I don't know what you, I'll look it up. You go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
So it was about that time. Of course, being on the gold standard prior to that we weren't really on it. We were reneging on our promises.
Right.
And we weren't keeping our end of the bargain. But nobody was, by that time, being on the gold standard didn't seem to make much importance to anybody. They didn't, who cares? As long as I can go out and buy something with the money, that's all they cared about.
Oh, wait. Well, okay. So this must have been a republished, though, because the engine I'm asking is telling me it's published in 1994.
That sounds more like it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
That sounds like it. Yeah. I got my numbers backwards. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that then. So when you were writing this, then it was long past the 71 Nixon decision, and we saw the beginnings of what will become rapid dollar devaluation.
Right.
Okay. All right. Sorry for my question then. I was confused about the.
It's a good question. I'm sorry for my answer.
No worries. We cleared it all up. So then allow me a follow-up question. That I'll try not to mess up this one. Are you surprised at how long, for the duration at which the Federal Reserve has been able to get away with this scam?
Yes, indeed. I am. And I've always been bad on dates. I've always been predicting, the end is nigh, sort of from the beginning, almost from the beginning. And I became first aware of any problems in the world in 1960. And by 1961, I was pretty sure we wouldn't make it to 1962. So I've always been wrong on dating when things are supposed to happen. But fortunately, I've been very correct on the description of what's happening. I've just been in amazement, as you say, that the system has remained intact for so long. And I attribute that to the complete unimaginable control that the system has over the opinion of the population. Because what holds the whole money system together is faith in it, confidence in it. And if anybody knew even 1/10 of the truth about the system, they couldn't have any confidence in it.
Right.
So I just assumed the thing would collapse of its own accord.
But that's another important point, which is that the gullibility of those who are using this system is rather high. And it speaks to why the White House always has to tell us things like the economy is great, unemployment is low, even though they always have to retroactively change the numbers, and there's no inflation. Thanksgiving dinner was very affordable this year. Gas prices are lower, etc. I guess that works on some people.
Yes, it does. And in fact, it works. It even works on some of us old timers if we lower our guard. If you relax your connection or disconnect from reality, you tend to believe what you hear, even though you know that the whole thing is theater. The make-believe world becomes very believable. I learned that sort of the hard way when I was interviewing Yuri Bezmenov.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Soviet
famous
defector.
interview that you've done. Yes.
Yeah, it was one of my fortunate interviews with this guy. And I asked him, how did you feel? How did the people in the Soviet Union feel about all the propaganda that they were getting from their government? Like the 5-year plans and everything, and they're always gaining on the Western world, and all the statistics were very positive. But you lived in misery. You're telling me that? How did you accept all of that? And he kind of paused. I remember he sort of looked into the space. He said, well, to tell you the truth, he said, we never really believed it, but we got so used to hearing it and speaking it because we had to, that it almost became like a belief system that we didn't challenge.
That's fascinating.
Wild.
Man, would you guys mind if we talked a little bit about the modern parallels from historical banking to AI and data control? I'm thinking, banks have always lent a person's money to other customers. And today, tech platforms are doing what banks have always done, just with data instead of money. Would you guys agree with that?
Well, yeah, but they're gathering and then selling the data.
Yeah.
Among other things, weaponizing it. Right, Ed?
Well, that is true, but I'm trying to think of it if the process can be related to a monetary system, a buy and sell thing. I still see it as a market relationship. You create a product and you sell it. Is that not true?
No, what I'm thinking about is that the tech platforms, we are, in essence, by using these platforms, providing our own information. We're voluntarily entering it in. Think Facebook, think everything. And then they're harvesting it and selling it to other tech organizations and platforms to be able to monetize it. So I was just thinking that there was a parallel in the fact that, we lend money to banks and then they rehypothecate, right? They lend it to others and sell it to others and make money off it with others and with no benefit to, the original lender.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes.
Well, in that case, I would say yes, and that would only happen because we're not on a gold standard or any other kind of standard.
Right.
Because there are no limitations to the numbers that we can create. So what difference does it make? It's just numbers now.
Right. So just, sorry, my question was not that great. I was just saying that the depositors of data in today's system are like the depositors of the money, historically in banking.
Well, I think there's a parallel in that, Todd, is that as there can be unlimited data created by the people through their actions and their search queries and their phone calls, there's also unlimited currency being created constantly. And Ed, you already mentioned maybe your predictions about the timelines aren't always accurate. Neither are mine, by the way. I'm shocked that the system is still alive. But surely there's a limit to how far this can go when they're doing trillions of dollars almost every 90 days. Is there, at what point do we hit is it a limit of faith? Is it only when the faith is fractured? What ends this?
That's a good question, and I don't know that I have the answer, but I have a tentative one. And it may sound strange. I think we've already passed that point, but we don't know it. Because we're still living well. We still have food in the grocery stores. Mm-hmm. And so there's an illusion of normalcy. But the reality is that I don't know how to say this. I can't say the food is imaginary, but I can say it's not backed up by money. I mean, real money. It is, in fact, food could become the money. It is an asset, and so money doesn't really enter the equation anymore. People just assume that we can get more and more money, and that's true if you believe in the trickle down theory that it starts at the top and the little guy at the bottom gets what's left over. So I don't know, I'm talking in a circle on that because I don't know how it's possible to explain this idiocy of turning ideas more than any, or knowledge or information into money. You can only do that as if money is no longer real money. It's you can't turn it into gold. You can't turn it into silver until somebody produces the gold and the silver. You take that away, well, then you can convert it into money. So it's because we're not really talking about money anymore.
Well, to me, it kind of reminds me of the CDOs from the subprime mortgage crisis, where they would slice and dice and package up a bunch of bad mortgages and then assign a new value to it based on the fact that it's now diverse, and then they say it has less risk and therefore more value. So I think they do that with data too. They compile a bunch of data and then assign it a value, and then they sell that off to somebody, right? And I guess if we're going to do CDOs of CDOs and derivatives of everything, then there's no number limit of how far they can take this. I mean, I'm just brainstorming with you, Ed. I don't know the answer, obviously. I'm asking you.
That's where they're very mystical, because the money is created at the tip of a pen or typing of a key stroke on a computer. And so it shows up on somebody's ledger as $1,000, let's say. But they're not, when they say $1,000, they're not talking about 1,000 legal gold dollars. They're talking about 1,000 Federal Reserve notes, maybe. Not even that, maybe. Who knows what they're talking about? But nobody questions it. They say, oh, it's valued at $1,000. That's wonderful. We're rich.
Well, one of the things even Elon Musk said during the Doge phase, that there were magic money computers in the U.S. government that would wire money out, which creates a deposit at a banking institution, but there was no originating currency required to initiate that wire.
That's the whole problem right there.
Yeah.
It's not real money.
Right. But there were 15 computers that are apparently still doing that.
Well, why not? It works. As long as nobody stops to say, hey, this isn't going to work very long, is it?
It's a good gig if you can get it. I want to be on the receiving end.
If you have one of those systems, it's a good gig. But our government has those systems, and we're all being robbed every day that they do that, of course.
That's the whole idea. And they got very, very sophisticated. They used to go through a lot of measures, I believe, just to conceal the reality of this. But of late, they're not even trying to conceal it because nobody seems to care.
Yeah, that's true. But isn't that also because especially, our education system has failed and people can't do math anymore, it seems. And so nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but especially among the younger generations, they typically fail to understand anything about money, interest, compounding interest, rule of 72. How do I calculate 15% on a tip for a waiter? Like all of these things are beyond the cognitive capability of a lot of Americans today. Didn't used to be that way in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. People were smarter then. They could do math.
Well, what you've just said is a description of the future, the near future, when we're not using money anymore. We're using social credit scores, just numbers of some kind or values of some kind. But it's as long as it puts gasoline in the tank of our car, it seems like nobody cares how it's derived.
Well, I'm fascinated by what you said earlier about food being money. And so, Mike, with the installation of my food forest in my back property, I can now say money does grow on trees.
That's right. That's true. And you get a compounding return on your investment in your food forest.
That's exactly right.
In bananas and mangoes.
Well, the only difference between converting bananas and mangoes into money in a real monetary system is the willingness of the buyer and the seller to agree to it.
Yeah.
On both sides, they're getting value. But in the fiat system, the value is only in one direction.
That's
There's
right.
no value in the money side, only in the asset side.
Let me mention
the assets aren't even assets. they're ideas or numbers. It just becomes absurd. It's a huge hypnotic game that's been designed, and it seems like the whole world is hypnotized by it.
Well, it is. It's a kind of financial sorcery at work. And it's very interesting to me to hear our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, openly brag about how the U.S. arranged for economic terrorism to be committed against Iran to try to bring down their currency and make their currency weak and cause their economy to fail. I'm like, look who's talking. Because,
Right.
it seems like we are on the precipice. What kinds of trigger events have you thought through that could make things dramatically and suddenly worse for the dollar?
Well, I have thought through that a lot, and I think most people have too, who are at least aware at the almost inevitability of it, because as we go from one stage to the other, there has to be some kind of a trigger event to get people's minds numbed and filled with fear. And so that's the way it works. We know how it works. So therefore, the only question is, what's the next one? And of course, I don't really know, but I think it's probably I thought it was going to be war, possibly being emphasized with a small nuke being dropped on an American city, like Cincinnati or something like that. And that would certainly frighten everybody to death, and all the so-called liberty movement would be paralyzed out of fear for where's the next bomb going to be dropped. And everybody would be afraid to speak out against it because they would be accused of being unpatriotic in this time of dire warfare, and everything. So that would be one of my choices if I were on the other side, is to really go to war and drop a nuke somewhere. And the other thing, of course, is easier to do, and I can see it's going to happen probably one way or another anyway, and that's famine. When famine hits, there will be all kinds of civil disorder, and everything goes to pot. And if you can throw on top of that power failure, widespread blackout, maybe an invented EMP attack, so that everything goes out at once. And we've been told, well, those dirty Iranians, look what they did. But actually, it was somebody here throwing a switch or agreeing to throw several switches at once. Things like that can be done. I mean, you may laugh or scoff at them or say that they would never do that. Of course they would. It would be something very dramatic, I can tell you that. And it'll probably be convincing.
Well, they are already talking about UFO disclosure.
Well, they've been talking about that. Yeah, but now it's mainstream, isn't it?
Yeah, now they've gathered the Christian pastors to tell them that they have to prepare their flocks for the whatever UFO stuff is going to come out from the government. And I just think this is more government distraction and nonsense, and we're being played. That's what I feel like. We're just constantly being played in one way or another, like that's whiplash. What do you think?
I have inside intel on the.
You do?
Yeah.
Did the little green men tell you?
No, inside intel from a few of the pastor friends that were there.
Oh yeah, okay.
What did they say? They're going to be blessing the hoi polloi vax population with a new jab that's not only cures COVID, Mike, but also includes a new advanced alien lockdown tech integrating CBDC payments with Uber Eats deliveries that include, Mike, a free 2-liter Coke with all orders. I mean, bring on the invasion, Mike.
Wow.
Well, count me in. I want to be part of this.
Yeah, baby.
So the mothership will just airdrop, fast food with jabs. Okay.
We laugh, but the things that are really happening are just as ridiculous.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Well, what do you think the government is going to do in terms of trying to keep people on board? I mean, this system is weakening. It is unraveling. All over the world, different countries are abandoning the dollar in trade of things like oil. Talk about the Middle East. So it seems like our government's going to have to get more desperate with things like capital controls, aren't they, eventually?
Well, the reason I'm hesitating is I think that to make a distinction between our government and other governments is maybe not the right thing, because I don't think we're living in a world of national conflict anymore, although it appears that way. I mean, there's Iranians versus the the Israelis and the Americans, and we're still identifying each other as national participants. But when you look at what's really happening, it's a global movement. And all of these countries, most of them are working together at the same time. And all you needed was the COVID story to see how that happened. That all of a sudden you turn on the radio in the morning and every radio in the world was mouthing the same phrases about the COVID thing and the lockdown and all the solutions. And the only thing we needed was a vaccine. All of a sudden we realized that the whole world, regardless of nation, was following some kind of a loyalty or a conformity that we just don't see. And when you say, what is our government going to do? Whatever our government is going to do, it'll probably be in synchronization with what most other governments will be doing as well. It may be presented to us as an international conflict, but both sides of the conflict will be in agreement as to how it should be carried out and where it goes. And it's not going to be national anymore, I don't believe, except on the surface. So that's where I got stuck on how to answer your question. I don't see it in that light anymore.
Yeah, that's a valid analysis. Let me give out your website. Needtoknow.news is one place where people can follow your work. I see the Red Pill University there. That's awesome. You also have, of course, the Red Pill Expo. Let's see, that is here, redpillexpo.org. And are some tickets still available for this summer's event?
In fact, we're just beginning to put them on the market now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Tell us about that conference.
Oh, you've got Michael Young coming there too.
Oh, yeah. He said he's going to be there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love that guy. He's one of the few podcasters out there that I can just relax and say, whatever he says, it's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I feel that way about him too. And he's always ahead of the curve like you. But what else did you want to say about the Red Pill Expo?
Well, it's a beginning place. It's an event, first of all, and we bring together, on average, 18 expert speakers who are experts in their own fields. They're usually professionals who have discovered they've taken the red pill, let's say, in their own profession or their own life, and they've learned that what they thought was truth was actually the opposite of truth. They took the red pill, and they're coming to our event to tell everybody about it. And it isn't just one red pill. Everywhere you look, the most important things in our lives, if we're really able to see, the more important the issue is, the more likely is that we're being lied to about it. Right. It's been going on for a long time. So we're trying to bring together not just the obvious red pills, like we can see the war issue, for example, is not developing the way a war should. This is a contrived war of some kind. It's more for theater than anything else. I don't know where it's going. I don't pretend to know, but I do know that this is not natural. And so what am I trying to say is what happens next? I don't know. But anyway, back to the Red Pill Expo. We'll have speakers, and Michael Young is probably, I think, the only man standing who is a true war correspondent. He's out there where the bullets are whizzing around and where people are dying, and he's right there in the middle of it. And he sees, what's he called, roots and
routes and resources.
Resources and ideology.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a kind of an oversimplification, isn't it? But the more I listened to him, the more I realized that he's absolutely right. Anyway, he'll be there, and of course, we'll have doctors like Dr. Lee Merritt and Dr. All of the doctors that are at the forefront of breaking the news about the medical system being an illness system.
Right.
It's a system that's not to cure diseases, but to prolong them and treat them, because that's where the money is. And that's a harsh thing to say. I never thought as a young man I would ever even think of saying such a thing, but now I will proclaim it from the rooftops. And people like that, and they're all going to be there, and they all donate their time and their services Some of these guys and gals get high royalties for their speeches, but nobody gets paid in our group because we don't have any money.
Well,
so
that keeps it simple.
That keeps it simple. Yeah. We pay for their travel and their food. That's about it. And so they come because they really want to get the message out. And it is one of the most inspiring things you can possibly imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I always hear great things, and I know you've invited me to speak before. I'm just unable to travel right now because of my responsibilities here in Texas, but I always hear great things about the Expo, so I'm sure it's going to be a success.
Well, what do we have to do to get the can opener and get you out of the can and get you out to our event someday?
Yeah, well, it's tricky. It's tricky. I'm not willing to go through the TSA groping. So literally the only way I can get somewhere is either drive or private jet. Like those are the only two options of how I can get somewhere. So that's pretty limiting. But anyway, enough of that. Todd, I know you've got a whole bunch of questions. Let's go to your next question. And I've got more too.
I would love to talk a little bit about crypto and sound money. You don't mind? Two-part question. Does crypto truly decentralize power, or is it being absorbed into the same control structure? And the second part of that is, does crypto actually decentralize power or just create a new elite class, would you say?
Well, you know more about that probably than I do, Todd. And I can tell by the way you asked the question that you definitely know the answer. So I will say, yes, you are right. Crypto can be either one of those two directions, but the way it's going now, it's clearly going in a centralized control grid movement, and that's, I think, what it was designed to do from the beginning. Mm-hmm. But in order to get some headway, they had to paint it up a little bit and make it look like it was really a motion for freedom and independence and sovereignty and all that sort of thing.
And it certainly opens the path, right? I mean, are CBDCs the final evolution of central banking, or just the most obvious one, do you think?
Well, I think it's the most obvious one because there are, as you know, several ways to accomplish the same thing. It doesn't have to be central banks so much, and something has to coordinate it, and probably the central banks will stay around for that kind of a thing. But I think eventually they'll probably get the local banks back into the structure so that they can be content. I mean, they're going to get some pushback maybe from their large local banks if they don't bring them to the dinner table, so to speak, and give them a role in playing a major part. I don't know, but all I know is it's not going to benefit the average depositor. And in fact, there will be no depositors, as you know. There'd be nothing to deposit. No money, nothing to deposit, except your blood and your sweat, and that's it.
Right.
My last question in this subject is, fiat, gold, silver, crypto, what actually gives someone sovereignty?
Gunpowder.
Lead and gunpowder. Yeah. I like that. Perfect.
All right. Well, I've got a question about, there's a lot of talk right now about so-called universal high income, UHI, not just universal basic income. And people like Elon Musk are touting this and saying that because AI will take over so many jobs, that the government will simply pay everybody a high income and everybody will live happily ever after. But if you do the math, if you pay 100 million Americans, that's one third of the population, $100,000 a year, that is $1 trillion a month in that the government has to print to hand out to people. So Ed, what's wrong with this picture?
How much time do we have here?
Yeah.
Well, everything is wrong with the picture. It's not reality. Universal income, guaranteed income. If you just think about it from a humane point of view, it sounds like it's going to help a lot of people because they'll have food and shelter and everything. But if you think about human nature and anything about real economics, it'll produce just the opposite. Nobody will produce anything. And if you don't produce anything, you don't have food to eat or things to buy, or clothes to wear, or houses to live in, and everybody will be just wandering around, I suppose, climbing banana trees and hoping they get there before the other guy gets to the last banana. The universal income is merely a slippery way to bring everybody into total dependence on the government. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a very simple formula. How do you bring people to say, yeah, I count me in, I want to be a slave, because only slaves get shelter and food and health care and clothing. If you're not a slave and you're not a slave master, well, then you die. So count me in.
The good answer, and I should correct my numbers, it's $10,000 a month to 100 million people is $1 trillion a month. So I was off by about 20% there, but I just want to correct that. So you know how it is, Ed. People will watch the show like, your numbers, I did the math and it's off.
You're right on everything except you didn't add the column up right.
Yeah,
so.
right. I was thinking 100,000 a year instead of 120,000 a year. But anyway, your answer makes perfect sense. And yet, this dream of free money is very convincing to people. And
sure.
people never blame the price increases on the currency printing. They just think it's the grocery store's fault.
Well, I was that way once. I can laugh at it now, but I didn't even think about it. But when I did think about it, I knew that somebody was at fault, but it wasn't my government, surely, because I voted for them, and I only vote for good people. And therefore, since I voted for the ones that are in office, they were all good people. And, well, you know how that works.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right. Todd, and also, by the way, Ed, if there's something that we have missed asking you that you want to interject here, please do so. Just interrupt us.
Well, let me think. I'll put the back part of my brain on that and see if I can come up with something entertaining.
Okay, that sounds great. In the meantime, Todd, it's your turn.
Thank you. So, we always talk about they when we're talking about the people in charge and the ones that are the puppet masters and stuff. Your book covered the they very, very well, the creature from Jekyll Island, and told us who was behind it all. But above them, and you don't have to answer if you don't know, but I always am curious, who are they? You touched on it earlier that when, the pandemic happened, that, everything was orchestrated worldwide. So that implies that there is a they that is greater than, just folks in the United States of America, right?
Right.
Have you ever gone down that rabbit hole to try to determine who are the master theys?
Yes, I have.
Ooh,
And believe it or not, I found out who they are.
oh, okay.
And believe it or not, you already know who they are. But we didn't have the word for it. And it wasn't until I finally discovered the word that I knew what I was looking for. Now that's a teaser to get you interested in what I'm about to say. But up until that point in my career, if I can call it that, I was looking for a group of people. I could say, well, is this a class conflict between the wealthy and the poor, the working class and the is it a political thing? Is it racial? Is it religious? What is it? Is it the Jews, or is it the Catholics? Is it the black people or the white people? Are the Chinese? Oh, those bad Chinese. Or every time we hear something about something from China, they're the threatening ones right now. Or now Israel? Are the Israelis? Are they the Jesuits? Who are they? I was always looking for a group that I could say, there, I finally nailed it. And then I, over a period of time, realized that the one thing that they all have in common is what they believe. They all believe a certain thing, and that thing is called collectivism. And they come in all races, all religions, all nationalities, all genders, all all these groups. Now, there are a few exceptions that are dedicated to a particular belief system. Let's just say like Nazis. Now, if very few Nazis in my understanding of the period where Nazism was riding high, I think very few of them didn't understand the ideology of Nazism. They believed in Hitler's ranting and raving and so forth. They read, they read Mein Kampf. That was Hitler, of course. They read Mein Kampf, and the communists all believed in the rhetoric of Karl Marx, in Das Kapital, and the Communist Manifesto. They all had these creeds and so forth. And anybody who belongs to a group like that and is committed to accepting a certain belief system, now we can put a group name on them because they all believe the same. But the truth of the matter is, in the real world, what we're up against today is not a bunch of Nazis or a bunch of fascists or a bunch of communists or a racial group or religious group or of any kind. They come from all of these groups, but they all believe the same thing, and that is this ideology of collectivism. And so my answer to your question is that now that we haven't talked yet about what collectivism is, but it is very clear and easy to define. It's not just like, well, we believe in human rights, or we believe in the Constitution, or we believe in sovereignty. All these words need further definitions. But when you use the word collectivism and its constructive opposite, which is individualism, you've identified the only two major ideologies in the world, somewhat tainted by theocracy. But even theocracy is a form of collectivism if you want to really drill down far enough. I'll stand on the ground that there are two ideological choices three. You either are a collectivist, an individualist, or you are a moderate, which means you don't know what you are and you're afraid to commit. And so once I got it clear in my mind that all of these people that I'd been writing about and learning about who are creating havoc for civilization and who are taking away our liberties and even our lives, they are all collectivists to a man and a woman, every one of them. Mm-hmm. So the answer is they're collectivists. And you'll find them in every group that you can think of. Maybe there are some exceptions, but I find them in the remote channels of my own family. I find them in everybody's family somewhere down the line. They believe in collectivism, all the things we're opposed to. So I think once we get off of the track of trying to say, well, it's the Jews or the blacks or the whites or the people with this privilege or the wealthy or something. And I like to say when somebody says, well, look at your book. You talked about the Federal Reserve System and all the bankers that put that together. Well, most of them were Jews. So would you say our problem is the Jews? And my answer finally is, no, it's not the Jews. It's those Jews. And it's not the Jesuits, although they have an ideology. Let's skip over that one. It's not the Catholics. It's those Catholics. And it's not the black leaders. It's those black leaders. There's some great black. And everywhere you look, if you just get rid of trying to classify your enemy as a group, an ethnic group, or something other than ideology, I think that's why we can't get unity on our side, because we don't realize that our friend on our sides can be also recognized as believers in individualism. And they're all over the place. They just don't know it yet. It's our job to help them find the word and learn what individualism means and that sort of thing. And so that's my long-winded answer to your question.
Well, that's a wonderful answer. It's perfect for the show because decentralization is really another way to say individualism.
Yes, it is.
And collectivism, I think we would all here agree, it's the retreat ground of the intellectually lazy. They want someone else to earn for them, to work for them, to innovate for them. collectivism is a person retreating, among other things, it's a person retreating from having to take responsibility for building and producing and creating. And that's why collectivism is so harmful to the world. And one of the reasons, I mean, you could talk about it a lot more, Ed, but am I on the right track?
You're absolutely on the right track. All of the qualities that you mentioned are qualities that are associated with the ideal of individualism. And I mean, every single argument that stands to support these horrible ideas that are being imposed on us to take away our liberties, every one of those horrible ideas are defended and justified on the basis of the greater good for the greater number.
Mm-hmm.
That's
they are.
It.
Yep.
And all the arguments that prevent that is on the argument that the individual is the center of society, not the collective. That there's no such thing as a group. A group is an abstraction of the mind.
Yes.
It's like the number 7. You can't touch it. You can't hurt it. It has no rights. So when you say that an ideology, or an abstraction, I should say, an abstraction has rights that override the rights of an individual who is real, you've made a horrible mistake. Mm-hmm. You've suddenly given up yourself to an idea in the mind, and you have no longer any sovereignty as a human being, as a flesh and body and flesh and human being. So once you get that distinction clear, and it doesn't take long, I've had the great pleasure of seeing before my very eyes, after about a 20-minute discussion, some great groups of college kids who start off with all these arguments of collectivism, the greater good of the greater number, and they realize that that's the mantra of a lynch mob, greater good of the greater number. There's only one dissenting vote. He's at the end of the rope.
Well said. Well said. Ed, we are wrapping up time here, but that was the best segment of all. I want to give you an opportunity.
Of all DTV episodes on this.
That was a super powerful segment. This is fantastic. But I want to mention redpillexpo.org again and give you the opportunity. Is there anything else you want to add here before we wrap this up?
Yes, I'm going to say, probably in your audience, Mike and Todd, you've got people who already know most of what we're talking about. And I believe that we will win this battle against collectivism when we can mobilize 15% of the population behind that ideology. I believe that history is always written by, let me cut this to the core. It's written by 1% who are the originators of ideas, who are reinforced by 3% who are the leaders in society. They're the opinion leaders. And that 3% leads the 15% who are the activists, who are the true workers, the believers, the supporters. And once you get to 15%, you win.
Nice.
History is always written in that, what I can see is written in those numbers. Now that means in our real world, we have another 1%, another 3%, and another 15% on the other end of the scale who are working against us. The only difference between them and us is that they are organized, and we are not. We don't even know we exist. Most of our people think they're alone. The other side is extremely well organized and funded. They've been at it for a couple of 100 years, while we've been watching Dancing with the Stars, or something like that. So we're catching up a little bit late, but we still have the numbers. I think we have the numbers out there right now. So now you ask me, what's my departing word? I'm talking to the 15% out there right now. You know who you are. If what these ideas, if what we've said here makes sense to you, and you probably want to do something about it, besides just pass the information around. If you want to become active, make things happen, make this a better world. If you want to change the system and not just talk about it, then start somewhere, and the place to start is at the Red Pill Expo. That's where you start. Then you go to the Red Pill University and become part of an international coalition if you want to. But by this time, you're part of a movement. You're part of an idea, part of a plan. We already have the ideology. Now we have to work on the methodology. Once we put those two things together, we win. So if this intrigues you, come on out to the Red Pill Expo in Las Vegas, July 11 and 12.
Well said. Thank you, Ed.
And the website again for that?
redpillexpo.org.
Beautiful.
Yep, we have it right here. Ed, I'm honored to know you. I'm a great fan of all of your work, and we greatly appreciate your time that you've spent with us today.
Well, Mike, thank you for that. And I return the compliment to you. I've always admired your work. Mike, you've always been out ahead of the crowd, way ahead of the crowd.
It's a very kind way to say that, yes. Sometimes we are over our skis, and then it takes 20 years for society to catch up.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah. That's happened. By the time it catches up, it's a different society.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
thank you
for the opportunity to rant on my topics, and
beautiful.
I hope to see you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
You take care.
You're wonderful.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. G.
Yeah, I like that name, Mr. G. That's great. So we'll go to a break, folks, and we'll be right back after this break with the after party with just myself and Todd, and we have some interesting things to share. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at decentralized.tv. Oh, we're back. Sorry, Todd. I was just blowing up the world right there. Yeah, sorry. Speaking of that,
Wow.
there we go.
You didn't even Taco Tuesday. You know?
Yeah, somebody else is really trying to blow up the world right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And things are getting crazy. I'm so glad we had Ed on. Oh, and by the way, to the audience, welcome to the after party. But I'm so glad we had Ed on because
Oh my gosh.
I think we are approaching the end game of the currency. And I don't want to predict a date either, because who knows, but it's clearly losing value faster than ever before. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah, but I disagree with you on one thing. I think that you should get in the habit of having a podcast at the end of each week to where you say the dollar will go to zero by Sunday and then Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. That's a good idea. Yeah. And if only there were a polymarket bet on
Right.
Will Mike Adams say the dollar is going to zero? We could definitely rig that bet.
We could.
Yeah.
Man, we could make bank.
I'm saying that satirically because everything seems to be rigged these days.
It does. It does. And I'm telling you, Mike, and I'm telling you, audience, beautiful, wonderful audience of ours, do yourself a favor. I mean, I'm an audiobook guy, but download The Creature from Jekyll Island and just listen to it. I mean, it's a long book, but if you put it at like 1.5 speed, you know, you can knock it back in like, 15 hours or whatever. So that seems long, but man, oh man, Mike, once you listen to it, and all of the facts and the details and the people and the how and the where and the when and the why and all of that, once you realize that, my gosh, you realize how rigged this financial system is against us, and it is designed to take what you earn. And
they schemed against us in the most nefarious way.
Amazing.
And you realize the creation of the FDA was in 1906, which was really the same thing that happened in banking, but a few years earlier to take over Western medicine with the Rockefeller medicine and the Flexner report and all of that. So it was really the same thing. They were taking over money. They were taking over medicine. They were taking over science, and we've been living and suffering under those takeovers from the early 20th century ever since.
Absolutely. But this book will put it all in context for you. And for me, Mike, I'm a UNA guy, and I got to tell you, man, when I have been listening to that book and I'm shaking my head back and forth and I'm like, no, man, what I'm doing to help people keep more of what they earn, you rewind history and you're like, when Rockefeller coined the phrase, own nothing, control everything. I mean, what the financial system isn't impacting these people who are running it because they have their own ways of being able to avoid the confiscation of assets, right?
Yes, they built their own outs.
So many outs. And so,
and
I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm just sitting here thinking through everything and how much they have stolen from us over the years. And they have hypnotized us that, if we try to keep more of what we earn, somehow we're doing something wrong. Screw that.
I know that's crazy. I mean, and I'll bring up your website here in a little bit, My575E. But first I want to mention, you realize the federal income tax has never been needed to fund our government and this country. Number one, you could not that I'm advocating this, but you could just literally print the money that you need every year and have zero taxes on the people, but effectively they would be paying an indirect tax through inflation because of the dropping value of the dollar. But today we have both. We're hitting inflationary cost increases and they're taking a percentage of our earnings. But the federal income tax is not necessary at all to fund the government. Secondly, our entire government could easily be funded only by, originally it was funded entirely by tariffs, talking a couple 100 years ago almost. But today it can be funded by energy taxes. There's so much energy extraction in America, natural gas in Wyoming, for example, oil out of the Gulf, and other natural commodities. Just taxing that alone could replace the income tax.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we would still be competitive. Now, again, you'd be paying higher prices at the gas pump, but you'd be able to keep your income.
Right.
Right? So you can afford it. The income tax is not necessary at all. And certain people in California many years ago built themselves a way to funnel their own money into these nonprofit associations. And they created a law in California that still exists today. That's the law that defines the UNA that you talk about a lot. So let me bring up your website. Go ahead and give us an intro to
Sure, and thank you for
My575E.
referencing California, because that's what's important. Unincorporated nonprofit associations can be created by two people in any state, but there's only one state that has established case law, hyper protective of UNA operators' personal liability and their privacy, and that is California. And you would be crazy to operate a UNA out of any other state than California. And that is the service that we provide, which is a turnkey service that allows you to be able to, the way I describe it to people, Mike, is, my partner Dennis and his partner, they give birth to the UNA that the person, based upon what the name the person wants in California. And then you can operate that UNA from any state. So just like if you got a Wyoming LLC, you could operate that in Florida or California or New York or whatever. Same with a California established UNA.
But you have to be an American.
Yeah, you have to be an American, right? U.S. paying taxes. You can have a green card as well, and that'll work as well. but you're not a Canadian or not an Australian. Sorry, guys. Don't know anything about any structures that help you there. But what happens is then Dennis and his partner, when they're ready to ship you all of the legal notarized documents, they have a board meeting and they nominate you, Mike. Let's say you acquired a UNA as the secretary successor and they approve it. And then they go to a notary and they both resign their positions. So now, from a chain of custody, you are the 100% control person. But that EIN number associated with the UNA does not track back to you. It's totally disassociated from your social security number.
That's
so
the key.
You control it, but you're not associated with it anywhere in any public records or even private records. So what I encourage people to do, if you are a W-2 earner, a 1099 earner, if you operate an LLC, if you own property, trade in crypto, if you acquire precious metals, whether self-custody or vaulted, if you have children, if you're thinking about your progeny and how to be able to pass down your wealth without any kind of death taxes or probate, then visit my575e.com and watch the 90-minute interview that I have done with Dennis. It'll tell you a lot, and there's a downloadable PDF, Mike, that people use that talk about 32 positive attributes of operating UNA. And then if you have any questions, man, just book a private consultation with me. I'm very accessible, and it is $150, but here's the good news. When you move forward with a UNA, because most people actually go to that level, watch the video, book a consultation with me, most of them move forward with a UNA because they get it. They understand. I explain everything to them in great detail. And then you just deduct the $150 off of the investment of the UNA. So you get it back. But the only reason is we've shared, Mike, only reason why I charge anything is because when I didn't, people didn't show up. And I remember you counseling me saying, Todd, charge a fee and it'll remedy that.
even a small fee. Yeah.
Even a small fee. That's right.
Your time is valuable. Your knowledge in this space is valuable because you've helped hundreds of people.
That's right. Over 600 now, Mike.
600.
Over 600. Yep. We have we just crossed 525 people in the private Telegram group. It's an amazing community. Most of them, 99.5%, I think, came through our show, And so, one gentleman in there, over the holidays, he said, I love this group. It's all for one and we're the one, because everybody is supporting each other. And I love it these days, Mike, is like sometimes I'll be busy and not be able to get into the group until the end of the day, but there's so many new people in there now. They may have a lot of questions. Well, all of the OGs in there answer.
Questions like, how do I transfer a house into the UNA?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Or a car or some other asset that you want to put under the nonprofit.
That's right. Whether it's donating precious metals or donating crypto. We have strategies for all of it. Yeah. And it's all designed to be able to lawfully keep more of what you earn, protect what you have, and decrease your personal liability. So
I think that's going to become critical because as the dollar continues to plummet in value, and I kind of asked Ed a question about this, I think we're going to see a lot more aggressive attempts by the government to confiscate or restrict capital flows.
Absolutely.
Saying like, you can't wire money out of your bank anymore. There could be a day where they block you from wiring money to buy gold.
Yep.
And that wouldn't be gold confiscation. It would just be blocking your conversion of dollars to gold, or crypto or something else. And every time that we've seen an empire collapse in history, capital controls usually preceded that because they didn't want people to be able to flee with the wealth. And you know how people fled with wealth? They bought either gold or art or had deeds to land. Because you could travel with that. You could travel with, artwork. You could buy a very expensive painting from a famous painter, roll it up, stick it in the back of the wagon.
Yep.
Cross the border and it's worth, $1 million at your destination. Or crypto these days, right? You don't even have to carry it with you. You just have to remember the seed phrase.
Right. You know what? I was so naive when I was younger. I was on the founding team of Priceline.com, and that ultimately, became worth $9 billion at one point before the bubble burst, right? More than all the major airlines combined. But anyway, the founders of the company, when they did exit, they were billionaires with a B, right? And then, so I went to my boss's house, and he has this brownstone that's just so majestic in New York, and you'd get a tour, and he had all of this original artwork from all of these amazing artists. And of course, they're all wired in and protected and everything. But I just couldn't, in my right mind. I was always like, what a fool. Why would he spend $2 million on that painting? Now I know.
It's a place to put assets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, he can roll it up if he had to.
Yeah, you could. Priceline, wasn't that William Shatner? Wasn't he the spokesperson?
Yes, he was our spokesperson.
Yeah, that's
What
great.
a character.
What a guy. Character. Yeah, Shatner is a really amazing guy.
Yeah.
With an incredible, life journey there with all the things he did.
Absolutely.
But he made that company, Priceline. I mean, without him, it just wouldn't have succeeded.
He was great, and he was well compensated for it.
I would imagine so. Yeah. William Shatner to go to the asset class where no man has gone before.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Right.
But anyway, just to put a bookend on it, folks, just reach out, get educated. That's all. Everything in there is free. And then, if you have further questions, just book a consultation with me, and I'm happy to advise.
That's great. Now, you saw the inflatable globe that I was
the flaccid globe.
Yeah. Because of what's happening in the world, I'm going to have that thing fully inflated at some point here. In fact, I think they're working on it outside. But I'm going to have a proper globe on the desk here because we have to talk about what's happening in the world, be able to show it. I mean, I have a little tiny globe right here. This doesn't work.
Hard to see the Strait of Hormuz there, Mark.
I mean, well, it's barely. It's kind of like,
it's right there.
It's like the blot of Hormuz on this one. You can't, and I can't show it on the camera like that. So we're going to have some more improved visual aids for all of that. And also, in the meantime, I wanted to mention something really cool. So if you go to brightanswers.ai, this is the AI deep research engine that I built. It's now faster than before. Oh, that's okay. I don't need the globe right now. It's faster than before. We've shaved about 5 seconds off the time for each query. It's free to use, and it has more knowledge than ever before because we keep putting science papers into it.
Yeah.
And we keep putting books into the index. And I want to thank you because you've helped introduce me to a person who shall go unnamed, but a person who worked for one of the major publishers of science journals in the world. And that person, he and I have been in touch a lot.
Awesome.
And he is helping me to create the taxonomy, the categorization that is used by the mainstream journals so that soon I will be able to launch a science paper AI synthesis engine where you can go to it like this and you can ask a question of the science papers, and we will have millions of science papers in there, and it will give you back an AI synthesis answer completely free. So that's coming. Yeah, that's going to be super cool.
Can I just really insert here real quick and brag on your engine there?
Please go for it.
I have a wonderful lady who comes and she helps us clean our house once every couple of weeks. She's just fantastic, and she came in and she was all doom and gloom, and I'm like, "What's wrong, Andrea?" She said, "Well, her daughter in the hospital, and she has irritable bowel syndrome, and they're doing testing and all of this, and doesn't know if she's going to need surgery or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, come here." Right over. And I'm researching irritable bowel syndrome on your AI and brightanswers.ai on what are the natural remedies. And not only did it spit out about, just volumes of natural remedies and what to do and how to do it. But then it served up, I think it was probably a dozen books on the subject, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
books
was
from our
just
book engine.
Yeah, from your book engine. But it was all married together. I didn't query, give me books too. I didn't know that would happen.
No, it finds related books automatically to your query. Yeah.
It was so cool. So I messaged her that, and I'm like, do yourself a favor before any kind of surgery, take some deep dive into the truth, because there may be a way to where she can heal without, big medicine. So I hope.
Yeah. That's so cool. You know what's worse than irritable bowel syndrome?
What?
Irritable surgeon syndrome.
Right. Very
It
good
can wreck
point.
your bowel, actually.
Very good point.
Be very careful, but you don't want angry doctors with a scalpel.
No.
But you mentioned the book engine. Here it is. It's called brightlearn.ai. It's free. And I want to announce something. We have upgraded the free tier to 5 chapters. So you can now create a 5-chapter book completely free of charge. You don't even have to create an account. You just use your email address. And then there's something else cool, Todd. If you click here, we've got over 56,000 books. You can browse all those books. Here they are. And we have 2 new things. Number 1, we have audiobooks. If you click on audiobooks, all of these are now full-length audio downloadable, including one of your books, Todd, is in this list. At least one. I saw it happen. It's in this list. There's hundreds of them now. Full-length audiobooks, completely free. You just download the MP3s. And then one more thing, books in Espanol.
Beautiful.
So look at that. How cool is that? We have books on chlorine dioxide or cloro de, what is it? Oxido? I forgot the exact word for it, but una mano, una granja. I mean, look at that.
Wow.
Here's a book on cholesterol. Oh, here it is. Dióxido de cloro. This is one of them. There are others, but there are many books here, hundreds of them available in Espanol, and also completely free. The cool thing about this is we're just getting started. So we're going to have French is our next language.
Wow.
And then after that, Todd, I'm going to go for Chinese.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Kung Pao chicken. I mean, I'm going for the Chinese translation of the book. We're gonna try to see if we can make it spit out Chinese language books with the covers.
Oh my
and everything.
gosh. Can you imagine? I mean, you're already the largest book publisher in the world.
At this point, we are actually. Yeah, that's true. But the other cool thing about this, like you see, Visión Clara, right? So this cover, translated an English book cover, clear vision, and it translated it, but it kept the same imagery while translating the words. And I actually, because I wrote this whole engine, and I had to write the cover art translation engine to do this. And that took a weekend. And it was extremely difficult because Spanish words are bigger than English words, it turns out. It's a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't even touched German yet, which is a whole different thing. It's much longer, But how do you take a book cover that's an image? How do you scrub all the English off of it without destroying the cover, and then put Spanish on it in a way that looks kind of similar?
That's nuts.
It's freaking hard, it turns out.
Bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
And it's not perfect. There are a few glitches here and there, but overall, it works great. And it runs locally on the computer right beside my main desk. So I look over, and it's doing Spanish covers right next to my computer.
That's amazing.
So cool. Yeah, it's just like Spanish covers. I'm always looking over there because I'm like, wow, that's cool. And it's just uploading books, like more every day, maybe 20 a day or something. And all of this is free, though. I want to say to the audience, so if you know somebody who speaks Spanish, please let them know about this site, books.brightlearn.ai. And then you can just click here on this button in Espanol.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
2 questions. How long ago was it when you first got serious about launching your own AI, Enoch? And then how long ago was it that you became serious about the book engine? Because I want everyone to have some context that this has all happened in just a sprint of a time.
Well, that's true. The book engine project, I started on that last, I think it was October. So it's 6 months or something, maybe 7 months.
And you're the largest book publisher in the world.
Well, but that's because, I mean, look, there's 12,000 authors that have contributed their prompts.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a community project. It's completely nonprofit, totally free. But that's how we published 56,000 books so far. And they're good books. They're not garbage. I mean, it's not like just asking ChatGPT, write me a book, because that would be garbage. These books they cite research. There's fact checking as part of the process. The covers are done, and they're amazing covers. You've seen them. You've done it.
Yep.
You've produced books. So that's only 6 months ago. But as far as creating our own AI engine, that's been 2.5 years. But actually, the first year and a half of that was just processing data. That's all it was.
Yeah,
was processing.
You were just ingesting.
Yes, I was what we call normalizing science papers and books and articles and full text books and everything. And I'm still doing that. Because that process is going to take a long time, like years actually, to get through everything that I have. But I already have processed millions of pages of documents.
Well,
that's
and
indexed.
What amazes me is you did it with all of that VC funding.
Yeah, right. The $0 the no funding. Yeah. No, I've had people ask me, even, people say, well, why don't you monetize BrightLearn? You could probably raise hundreds of millions of dollars and you could be independently wealthy, whatever. Like, and what, have it turned over to some company that's going to ban books about chlorine dioxide?
Right.
And, cancer cures?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And private crypto and things like that. No, thank you. I don't want to live in a world where I walk away with this big stash of cash, but I leave behind, ignorance and controlled narratives for everybody else. Sorry, that's not a win. That's not a win.
Mike, through all my consultations, I have had so many people who have just complimented you, saying he is the most principled man that we know. I mean, everybody feels like they know you, right? And so what you just said as to why you choose liberty, freedom, non-censorship, in lieu of personal fortune, which you could have personal fortune very easily on this, just speaks to your person, Mike.
Well, you know me pretty well too, Todd. We've worked together for years on this show, and how every day we exhibit the same principles, the same commitment to the pillars of principles that drive our show and that attract our amazing audience. And they are amazing people, and you talk to more of them than I do.
Yeah,
they are amazing. And even like this man who has volunteered to help me with the taxonomy of the science papers, that's a guy who could charge hundreds of dollars an hour for consulting.
Right.
Easily. And yet he reaches me and is like, I'm going to volunteer however much time you need because I believe in your project.
Absolutely. Yeah. He came to me, that's what happens. I'll provide consultations. Smart people will get a UNA. They'll get into the group. We'll develop a relationship. And then all of a sudden I realize these people are super smart and capable.
Yes, they are.
And they're so diverse in what they bring to the table. And then, so he was telling me, he's like, hey, can I just share a little bit about me? And I really think I can help Mike. And he provided, a lot of information that was, frankly, Mike, just kind of over my head. So I forwarded it to you, and you were like, wow, man.
And
I'd love to talk to you.
And I got to thank you for that, because it's actually rare that it really pans out, because there are a lot of people who want to make a suggestion or send me a book, which is great. But there are a lot of people want to make a suggestion, or here, I have a business idea, they would say, right? You've seen this before.
Yep.
And then I look at their business idea and I'm like, I don't actually think that that's going to fly.
Work. Yeah.
And, people don't want to hear that. But many times people come to me with ideas and I'm not trying to shoot it down, but just from a practical standpoint,
Sure.
I'll poke holes in it. It's like, I don't think that's going to work. But this man, what he's offering is to augment this project in a very real and very practical way that will benefit millions of people.
That's amazing.
So it's just a perfect thing. And I don't want to say his name just to protect his privacy, obviously, but he's probably watching. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
He's awesome. And and he offsets the other people. I get a lot of people because, they think I am the absolute conduit to you, and that they can just, and I love this, where people say, you need to tell Mike he needs to blank, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, that's funny. The point is, we have the best audience in the world here. We really do. And it's because it's distilled intelligence.
Right.
We stick to our principles. We might piss off people that are not good candidates to be regulars on the show. And that's fine. That's totally fine, right? If they drop off, it's fine.
We don't know.
Because the people who remain visitors of the show, and remember, you can watch all the episodes at decentralize.tv.
Yep.
It's this distilled intelligence and this self-sovereignty, this, with our guest today, Griffin, it's this individualism, this recognition of the importance of values. And also, our audience are pretty wealthy compared to the rest of society because they've made a series of good decisions about finance and economics, and they're also very capable people.
Right.
So that's who I want to speak to. Let me tell you something else, Todd. Not to drag out the after party here, but a friend of mine who you know him. I'm not going to say his name. He was offered a position to be an influencer on Facebook. Well, not a position, but as a contract.
Okay.
And Facebook promised him that he would have visibility, but he had to make really short form videos. And the videos had to be very short. Facebook said 60 seconds max, and they prefer 15 seconds. And they also have a category of the sub 5-second videos.
Jeez.
Right. And they started giving him, so he was like, he was asking me, what am I going to do in 5 seconds, man? I'm like, belch? I don't know. What are you going to do? And he sends me these reports. He's like, okay, so I did a 4-second video and Facebook sent me a report and it got 32,000 views for a 4-second video. And I'm like, dude, 32,000 views by who?
Right.
People who have a 5-second attention span.
Right.
Right. So it's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the people that are tuned in. Because somebody that has watched this show for this long, that's not quantity. That's quality.
Right. You got it.
Yeah. This whole show may only get 50,000 views, but it's 50,000 that count.
Yeah.
And Todd, if Facebook came to us and said, can you guys do 10-second videos? On what? No, the answer is no. We're not doing 10-second videos.
Get in touch with your internal middle finger.
Oh, by the way, that book has been translated into Spanish. We have Foucault in Espanol.
That we need Foucault. That needs to be the first translated book into any new language, Mike. Just because it was the first one,
so true,
created ever. So,
so true. But anyway, Todd, if anybody approaches you from Facebook and says they'll pay you, he's actually getting paid. They'll pay you to do a 10-second version of DTV, or a 5-second version. Just tell them no.
Yeah.
Welcome to decentralized. That's it. That's the show.
It's just ridiculous. That sounds horrible to me to even have to,
doesn't it?
Become a slave to that kind of, telling you what to do. No thanks.
Yeah, and what does that say about society where people are just like doom scrolling through 5-second videos all day long. What kind of weird attention span is built in that young person's brain?
we do have one loyal, dedicated viewer who's very famous, and he does tell me. He says, "Todd, don't think less of me, but I just blow past your guests and get right into the after party. But I do go back and watch the guest." But he gets into that.
Well, he won't want to skip today's guest. That's
No,
for sure. Today's guest is really great.
Yeah.
But I hear that from people too. Hey, let me just plug something from my side. RangerDeals.com. We have, this is where I put together affiliate deals for you on things that can help you. And remember, right here, Limitless Peptides. This is the company that has that BPC 157 that has been miraculous in my life, enabling me to do a lot more, exercise for over a year now. And the discount code is Ranger. And you can go there and you can search for these. They have the nootropics, the brain enhancing peptides. They have intranasal versions, and there are oral versions. Some of these are also for digestive health and helping your body repair its own digestive tract. In fact, BPC 157 is normally made in your own gut because your body has to repair your stomach from the acid damage. So because you're making your own hydrochloric acid at a small percentage, stomach acid, and it causes tissue damage in your own gut. And so your body produces the hormone to repair your own tissue damage. That hormone, you can take it intranasally, and then it helps other tissues repair. So, very cool. Oh, but not FDA approved. This is not medical advice. All those disclaimers. But
it's Mike Ranch approved because you're running like crazy now.
I am. I mean, wow. And my kettlebell workouts are going great and everything.
Right.
I credit BPC 157. For that. But technically, it's not approved as a supplement or a medicine or anything. It's all experimental, but they've been using it in Russia since 1995, for athletes and things. And I've been using it for over a year, and, everything's going great. So, also, of course, superfoods, this is the mini jar today. I have the larger jar over there, but I transferred it here. Be sure to be healthy no matter what you do, whether you're using peptides or, whatever you're doing. Be healthy with your food intake, because this is the number one way to prevent disease and protect cognition. And I just did, let me show you one more thing. Sorry to do this. I just did a story on this the other day. Hold on a second. I got to show you this, this infographic. Here it is. One of the discoveries is right here. Vitamin E saves brains from inflammatory damage, and it beats Alzheimer's drugs, and it allows advanced stage Alzheimer's patients to have more self-care for many more months. And here it is. It's the Vitamin E Brain Shield. And there's a study published in 1997 in the New England Journal of Medicine and in 2014 in JAMA. And it showed that advanced Alzheimer's patients get another 7.5 months of self-care before they need medical assistance.
That's a big deal.
Just by taking vitamin E.
Wow. And how much vitamin E?
Oh, that was 2,000 IU's per day.
Oh, wow. That's
cheap.
Nothing.
Yeah. It's like a nickel's worth. I mean, I don't know what a dime. It's a tiny amount.
We should all be taking that anyway, right? I mean, vitamin E is safe for just everyday, just consumption.
Yes, it's a fat soluble vitamin. It protects your cell membranes from lipid oxidation, which is caused by seed oils. So everybody out there eating canola, corn, soy, cottonseed oils, and all that garbage, you should be taking vitamin E anyway.
Yeah, you go watch a football game and eat some chicken wings. You better, drop down some vitamin E before you go eat those fried chicken wings.
In fact, when I go out to eat at a restaurant, which I occasionally do, and if you ever go to a Mexican restaurant, they bring a basket of chips, right?
Right. Yep.
Do you think they fry those chips in the world's most expensive pure olive oil? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. That's the cheapest thing that qualifies as oil that they could find.
Absolutely.
You want to take vitamin E when you eat those chips. Just trust me on that point. But I do. I'll eat the chips. I'm not a food Nazi. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have Mexican food with my friends here, but I'm going to take vitamin E. I also take vitamin C, and I usually drink some smoothie beforehand. So I'm like, let's get the nutrients in, and then I'll have a meal with my friends.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Favor, just because it's meant a lot to a lot of people that I have turned people on to, tell people how they can find you on Telegram, because I find that to be, that's kind of my go-to place now. You're a Health Ranger.
Okay, it's just called Real Health Ranger.
Yeah, Real Health Ranger.
Real
on
Health
Telegram.
Ranger.
If you go and you subscribe to that, it's like you're so prolific in there, but all of your infographics and your articles and everything, you post everything there. So it's kind of a one-stop shop of being able to consume everything Mike Adams.
That is true. Just make sure you have the right channel, Real Health Ranger, because somebody else took Health Ranger. There's probably like 20 fake Health Rangers on Telegram, and they're all trying to get you to buy crypto or something,
Yeah, right.
some junk coin or something. But it's Real Health Ranger, and that's right. I use that as a feed. I push everything there, articles, videos, you name it.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
I mean,
and then when people join your My 575E, they get access to a super secret special VIP Telegram group.
That's right.
That's a secret.
Yep. When you acquire UNA, the first thing I do once I process it with Dennis is I send a private Telegram invite, and I have a guy that manages everything. So we make sure it's only the members who've acquired a UNA that are in there. And it's just it's an amazing organic group of like-minded people. So we invite you via UNA.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Todd, another great show. Thank you for your time today.
What a great guest. G. Edward Griffin. If you're still watching at this point in time on rerun or rewind, man, thank you for blessing us with your presence in this show, because it meant a lot. And that last 15 minutes that you dropped on us with collectivism was just fantastic.
That was great. And his Red Pill Expo is really amazing. And if I were to go anywhere to speak, I would go to the Red Pill Expo. But I'm going to be vibe coding in Texas.
You'll be vibe coding unless there's a G4 that picks you up.
Yeah, pretty much. That's true. So anyway, everybody enjoy the other episodes at decentralized.tv, and we're back on a regular schedule now that Todd's back from vacation. We've also increased our schedule a little bit, so you'll see more regular episodes. And thank you all for watching today.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take care. We'll see you, Todd.
Take care, Mike.
We now have vitamin D3 plus K2 plus Aquaman, which is a seaweed calcium, available at healthrangerstore.com. Here, I've got it up on my site here. This is the Groovy Bee brand that we have, which is our in-house brand, healthrangerstore.com. Again, vitamin D3 plus K2 with Aquaman. That's the brand of the seaweed calcium in a capsule format. Of course, it's laboratory tested for heavy metals and glyphosate and microbiology and so much more. And it's certified ingredients, of course. And, everything that we build for you in terms of a product is meticulously sourced. And one of the most difficult products to source is actually vitamin D3. It's extremely difficult because it turns out in the supply chain, almost all vitamin D has a bunch of sort of unnamed ingredients in it. And that's what our sourcing people found after a couple of years of trying to source a clean version of vitamin D3 that we finally found and nailed and put it in the formula and did all the lab testing and certification. So now it's available. So this synergistic combination, if you think about natural bone support, for example, or you think about the fact that so many people may not have sufficient levels of vitamin D for just optimal health and immune support and many other reasons to have vitamin D levels, this product can help you supplement that. And so it's available now, healthrangerstore.com, vitamin D3 plus K2 with Aquaman, 60 capsules available, shipping right now while supplies last. And in this environment where global supply chains are getting wrecked, if this is something you want, get it now while we have supplies, because it's becoming more difficult and more expensive to source literally everything at this point. So anyway, thank you for your support. You can also find many other products, of course, hundreds of different products at healthrangerstore.com, including storable food. And right here we have our organic powdered chicken bone broth in a number 10 can, our turmeric root powder, and so much more. We've got so many amazing products for you to choose from, including tinctures, superfoods, storable foods, as well as freeze-dried fruits and vegetables in sealed number 10 cans. That's great for long-term storage. Plus we have iodine, and that's a product that's moving very quickly because of concerns about, global nuclear war, unfortunately. But you can find all of this. It's all laboratory tested. It's all certified. It's all meticulously sourced at healthrangerstore.com. And yeah, there we go. That's what the vitamin D3 looks like there. Thank you for supporting us, because we need your support in order to fund our platform. And so we can keep bringing you amazing interviews and content and free AI tools for knowledge and so much more. So thank you for supporting us. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, for healthrangerstore.com.